Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to T20E World. Hugo here, and today I'm excited because I have a young entrepreneur with us here, Anthony Whitaker. Anthony, say hello.
Hello, guys. I'm excited to be here. First time, and
Yeah,
it's a
man.
great podcast. So,
Awesome. Glad to have you here. And today is that one episode a month that we do. I'm glad to have you today. The episode is all about question and answers with an entrepreneur. So Anthony's a senior, right? Old Dominion University. What are you majoring in, Ant?
right now, I'm majoring. I went from criminal justice all the way now computer science, graphic design. A lot of different stuff going on here.
That's great, dude. So Anthony brings entrepreneurship, and Anthony and I have had the opportunity to actually work together. He's part of our team, our marketing team. Um, we picked him up through Pangea.app that we had a guest of last month. And you're part of the top emerging talent program, I hear, Ant. Tell
Yes,
us a little
yeah.
bit about that.
Yeah. So, joined Pangea a little bit before I started with your company, maybe like a month before that. From there, I just started selling and just getting clients, working with you as well. Your reviews helped out. Applied for it and was accepted out of 1% of the people accepted into the program. So it's been great ever since.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And I know I've had the pleasure of working with you now, what, 4 months we've been together?
Yeah, almost 4 months. That quick.
Let me ask you, how's the experience been?
It's
Any
been
pain in
great.
the ass?
So it's yeah, even though it's virtual, it still feels like actually I know a lot about you guys. I feel like I literally do work with you every day, and then
Every
it's just like
day.
a really family environment, and I love that.
Awesome. So talk to us. I know that you started your own company some years back now, huh? Called Unparalleled. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Unparalleled, as you see, I'm wearing on my shirt
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Unparalleled is an athleisure clothing brand geared towards pushing out a message that you are your only competition, um, and to retrieve your reflection, meaning regaining possession of yourself. So
Cool. That's awesome, dude. I like that, and I love the logo.
thank
I
you.
know that you also have some other brands, correct?
Well, yeah, I have this clothing brand, and along with my other business partner, his name is Christian Womack. We run a IT consulting and business development company. Where that's his baby, but I definitely have a position over there and help him out a lot.
Dude, so my take on you, Ant, has been awesome, man, because you're a hustler. I love it. We connected from the immediate start. I interviewed Anthony some months back. I interviewed several other people, and I have to say they were all pretty awesome. But Anthony really kind of fit the mold, the culture that we have here in our team, and it's just been a pleasure to work with him. He's a young entrepreneur, gets it, goes and gets it every day, rises and shines,
Yeah,
hustles and grinds each
every
and
day.
every day. I love that. So
Every day.
today is all about question and answers. You've been with us 4 months now, and so I'm gonna turn it over to you, and you could just ask away, man. Ask as many questions as you want. I will do the best I can to answer them. Okay, so
Um,
let's go. It's all about you and your questions, my
all
friend.
right. So a few questions that I've always wanted to ask entrepreneurs. I mean, I asked some, but
Sure.
this is a question I definitely always ask: is what are some of the mistakes you wish you could have avoided early on in your or throughout your entrepreneurial journey?
So some of the mistakes, well, I always say that if I could go back and kind of redo something, it really would be that I would focus more on the financial education because, when I was your age, starting different businesses, back in the day, you just kind of did a trial and error. I didn't have really a go-to individual. I didn't have a mentor. I always talk about my father, right? My father was my mentor. He was everything
Mm-hmm.
to me. But unfortunately, we lost him early on. And after he was gone, it was just hard. Everything had to be figured out. And the one thing I definitely would do is just spend more time on the financial side. Why?
Yeah.
Because in business, you have great business ideas, you launch them, but sometimes you spend too much time on them and you lose some money.
Mm-hmm.
Like you make money, but you lose money. I like the business that makes money and then makes more money. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So when you're young, you kind of do the old roller coaster ride. And I'm not saying that roller coaster ride ends, it continues because, there's always changing markets and economies, etc. But
Exactly.
that's the one area I would have focused a little more on, even in college. I always say, listen, my kids, both of them financial majors. I think that's huge because they got the business mind, you know. That's one of the things I would have done different.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad you said that because even for myself, I realized that I need to focus more on that side as well and not wait
Important.
too
It
long
really is
before
important.
it goes right by me. So I appreciate that.
Cool.
To move on, my second question is, how do you handle adversity and doubt?
Adversity. Well, listen, in business, especially in entrepreneurship, you're 22 years old, and I'm sure you've already dealt with adversity, right? And
Mhm.
I'm sure you've had doubts in your mind already about what you're doing because
Exactly.
that's common. That's common. The most important thing I would say for any entrepreneur is when you're in this game, you first you got to know what you're getting yourself into, right?
Hmm.
I always say it's a 24/7 gig. You got to be level-headed. You know, you got to be level-headed so that you can think clearly should anything come up. You know, any adversities, if you have doubts, you got to be able to really make smart decisions at that point in time.
Hmm.
You know, I don't you don't want regrets. You don't want to look back and say, "Oh, no, I could have, I should have, I would." No. So at that moment in time, if you're level-headed and you could think clearly and you with all the facts that you collect, make that decision, right or wrong, you made the best excuse me, the best decision at that moment in time you could have. So
Hmm.
important that you deal with adversity level-headedly, be able to think clearly, and it's not something that's easy in the beginning, you know, it's something that takes time to figure out.
Exactly.
But listen, when you have doubts, it's important to do the research. Now, back in the day, it was a little more difficult because, you know, you didn't have the ease in the early 90s of the internet.
Hmm.
Today, you know, it's at your fingertips. So when you have doubts, never, as an entrepreneur, be afraid to ask. Research, ask. I always talk about mentors, right? It's important that you have somebody in your corner.
I agree. I agree. And I guess I've been finding, I've got that person in you. I realized, and I've been like, before I started working with T20E World, I made sure I always had somebody that I can go to. So that's
Good.
something I can definitely
You're
really
ahead of the game, my man.
appreciate that.
Trust me.
um, so my next question is, what makes a good leader, and how do you know who is a good fit for your team?
Well, first and foremost, what makes a good leader? My opinion on this, and I'm sure there's a bazillion different opinions, but my number one opinion on this one is unselfishness.
Hmm.
A true leader is one that wants you to be better than me. I will, if I always say to people that I work with, especially the young entrepreneurs, if I had a fiber optic cable and I could connect it between myself and you and just transfer data, I would love to.
Hmm.
I would save you so much time of figuring things out that I had to do myself over the last 30 something years. So unselfishness, and I'll tell you why I say that. As you're developing, as you're growing, and as you're launching business, you're going to come across a lot of people, a lot of friends, right?
Yeah.
But they'll always be in your side when you're doing cool things, but they not necessarily want to see you succeed. There's a lot
Or
of
see you better
selfish.
than them.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of selfishness out there. I personally don't like that crap. So a good leader, in my opinion, is one who wants you to be better than themselves. You know, one that's going to actually say, "Hey, Anthony, this is what you need to do, my man. Think about it like this," and then lets you run with your idea, but
Yeah.
kind of guides you. You know, that's a true leader, in my opinion. Someone who's totally unselfish.
You know, it's funny with that cable you was talking about. That might be more possible in this day and age than you think.
You know, the other thing and you said, how do I know someone kind of fits, you know, on my team?
Hmm.
Kind of like when you came on board, you know, you we have set a culture within our organization, and you're going to find that no matter what company you ever go to, there is a culture.
Yeah.
You know, some people that work there years don't even understand what the culture is, but that's the top's fault for not having from the top down understand what the true culture of that organization is. So when you have an established culture and you meet with people, you kind of know, you get that warm gut feeling, you know what? I think they would make a great fit. They got the values, they got the integrity, the respect, everything that this company is made up of. You know what I mean? That is how you
Mhm.
find out who is the right fit for your team.
Okay, that's good. And I'm glad I was able to fit that mold for you.
Yeah, for sure. You're awesome.
Appreciate that. So, my next question is here. How did you know when you had the right idea?
Woo, that's a good one, man. So, all right. So, like I said, I've been in the business world many years, right? So I have seen all of the evolution of technology, right? Starting from before internet's been out forever, right? With the
Hmm.
government had it, but really in the early 90s is when it got launched to corporations. So back in the day, it was just trial and error. I mean, I had like a detailing business, a painting company. I even started in the early 90s a translation marketing business because I knew the Latin markets were the next hot thing in the US.
Hmm.
Then I rolled into my ABI, which was Almeida Barragan International Company. I had an export company. Then I had lighting distribution. So what I'm trying to say is in my career, a lot of it has been trial and error. Now, I always say that it's not that any of those companies failed, you know. Some did better than others.
Hmm.
Like Abitronix, which still is in existence today, and it's going on its 19th year as an independent corporation from the ABI group.
Wow.
That company everything just clicked. We were growing the exportation, all the exports on technology, and we just started clicking with the right accounts.
Hmm.
Like I always say, you got to do your homework. You got to try to penetrate the markets. Sometimes you get a little bit lucky because you're at the right time at the right place. Things start happening. So it
Hmm.
did with that business. It was a division in the 98, 99. Eventually it spun off in 2002, became its own independent company. So kind of, again, I did a lot of trial and errors, but you kind of know that, listen, let's put our efforts in Abitronix because we're on to something here. We see the market potential, we have the tools, we have the people, and we actually knew the technologies. So, and we were really good
Yeah.
at explaining solutions. So yeah, that's kind of how I went about it.
Okay, I like that. So, what are some risks and sacrifices you had to take or make?
Oh man, the first one that pops out. I mean, this is like a no-brainer. The first one that pops out in my life was leaving corporate America. And I'll tell you a quick story. Not too many people even know this, but when I was leaving, it was my time to go at Avaya, right? So
Hmm.
Lucent, and then we were in Avaya. So telecom it was going through some changes, Avaya, Wall Street, etc. And so it was my time to go. But meanwhile, I was married. I had
Hmm.
two little children at home. I was buying our second home. We're blessed to have a shore house, and I was just about to close when I was leaving. Oh
Oh,
man,
wow.
and I'm like, listen, I was telling my wife, I said, listen, this is do or die. I said, we're going to close on that house, and I'm not going to look for a job because I'm going to go full time with Abitronix at that time. And it
Wow.
was like, yeah, are you nervous? Absolutely, man. Two mortgages, two little children at home, and here you are going full blown with your idea. And
Hmm.
my wife was just like, but we're blessed. It happened. It worked, and here we are today, 19 years later. that company's still around, doing well.
Yeah.
So
Imagine if you
but
never
that was
took
the
that
one that
risk.
hit me. Yeah. What's that?
Imagine if you never took that risk. You don't know where we
Yeah,
could
well,
be.
that's an important point you just bring up. It's knowing the time. I always say, Anthony, when I was in corporate America, I already had a business. So many people on my team had no idea because I reported to corporate. I gave them everything I had. I
Hmm.
excelled at what I did within corporate, but I already had a business, meaning I was testing the waters way before I left. And I knew that I was on to something. Going back to your question, I knew
Hmm.
Abitronix, out of all the divisions out of the company that I had started back in 94, this is the one that really was starting to grow year over year. And I said, you know what? If I could do this full time, I think I could make a living off of this company. And it did. It did.
Wow. That's good. That's amazing that you took that risk. Like I said, once COVID hit, I've been learning to take more risk, and I did so. Like I told you about how I took a risk to go live in Miami basically for 3 months from August to October and just
Yep.
grow our business there through the market for it. So I definitely
So
think taking risks is very, very important.
it is.
If you
And
don't take the risk, you don't know you don't
listen,
know what the outcome is going to be.
you're absolutely
Whatever
right.
it is, you
And
never fail. So you
listen,
only learn.
you're level-headed, you're an intelligent young man, you're an entrepreneur. In your 20s, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. That's my advice. Take the risk. You got nothing to lose, man.
Hmm.
You got absolutely nothing. You're going to recover. If you fall flat on your face, you're going to get back up. Now, if I fall flat on my face, I am going to get back up
Yeah.
because of who I am, and I'm going to hustle and try to come back. But listen, reality is you're young, man. You're in your early 20s. This is the time to figure it out. This is the time to take the initiative. You know what I mean? Take those risks. You know,
Yeah.
do something that you felt, I don't know about, I don't feel comfortable. You freaking try it. Try
Hmm.
it. You just don't know. It's different. When you're married and you're having children and you have a home, you got to kind of think about things a little bit
Yeah.
differently.
So
You
you
know what I
can't
mean?
afford to take that risk
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. If you go down one thing, you're bringing down the family, the house,
Yeah.
the children. You don't want that. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So again, you said you've been an entrepreneur for a while now. So
Oh
what
yeah.
keeps you motivated every day and makes you continue to keep on going?
What keeps me rising and shining? Hustling and
Yeah.
grinding. Passion,
Exactly.
man. Passion. 100% passion. Love for what I do each and every day.
Okay.
Now, listen, I'm not painting a pretty picture. It's not like every day. There's mornings when there's issues or you're trying to figure shit out. You're like, but your passion oversees everything, man. And again, I go back to thinking clearly, level-headed, right? Because there's days that are challenging, and that getting up.
Hmm.
It's not like you bounce out of bed and you're jumping for joy. I get out of bed every day. I am grateful. I got out of bed. I always talk about that, right? Many people didn't, but I'm going to go about my day. And I love the passion because I'm loving what I do. Now, there's days I got to take on the issues that have been waiting for me,
Hmm.
but you get through it. You get through it, man. And, but again, if what motivates me each and every single day is the passion that I have, the love for what I do.
Okay. And I actually have a little story to tell. So
Yeah, man.
with Unparalleled, one of my past business partners, we ended up having like a falling out because I believed he was too money motivated, and I didn't want anybody like that on my team. Who's putting money first before everything. So what are
That's
your
right.
thoughts on that? Like, what do you think about someone that's too money
Well,
motivated?
well, first off, Anthony, that's a lesson to be learned, right? Because
Hmm.
in other words, you were setting a culture for your organization.
Yeah.
There's a tone that you want within your company, right? You're
Hmm.
setting. You're the CEO. You're the owner. You're the founder. You got to set the tone, the
Yeah.
culture for that company. If someone really doesn't fit and is not eye to eye, listen. When I say eye to eye, I'm talking the values, the core, right? The
Yeah. The
integrity.
core.
If they're not on the same page, it might not be the perfect fit. Now, I'm not saying you're going to agree upon everything.
Hmm.
Someone within your organization, it's good to get challenged once in a while. But listen, if you're taking, and it's all about the dollars
Yeah.
and it's about you, and meaning, see, there's two ways of thinking of this. You always want companies to be successful and to make the revenue. Okay, that's money. But when an individual is thinking about themselves and then all about them making money when the business is not generating the money that they should be taking,
Exactly.
there's an
Exactly.
issue with that. I got a huge issue with that. And you know what? Even Rohan Marley in our interview, we had him on a previous podcast. He talks about that too. Same thing. He had a partner at one time, and he didn't have the skin in the game. He wanted to have a big paycheck. A big
Hmm.
paycheck when you're not generating big dollars. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
come on. You
And
gotta have your
everything you do is with the money at the front of your mind. And I felt like, and this is how I see it, is like if you're just chasing the money so hard, it'll never really come to you.
nah.
You got to do it because
Money's
you want to do it.
so you're
So
thinking
yeah,
you're thinking right now of like, no matter what happens in this business, I'm still gonna get that paycheck. That's
yeah,
not how it works, my friends. That ain't corporate America where you're an employee, you know what I mean? And you're gonna get that paycheck, whether Wall Street loves that company or not, you're still gonna
yeah,
get paid. Now, when you're an entrepreneur and you're running your own business, listen, you gotta know the numbers, and I'm all for making the money when
Yeah,
you're
for sure.
busting your ass to make money for the company. But again, that goes back to your previous question, the third question you had asked me about,
Good fit for the team.
good fit for the team.
Yeah.
How do you know you're a leader? Well, if there's no fit, and it doesn't fit within your culture of the company, it's just not meant to be. And listen, it doesn't mean you get like in a hatred fight forever. It's
Hmm.
just you think your thoughts are on different levels and you just wish them the best of luck. That's one thing I got to tell you though. A true entrepreneur, it's going to pat him on the back. You're going to go your separate ways and you're going to wish him the best.
Yeah.
Really. You're going to always wish him the best. You're going to continue doing what you're doing, but there's going to be a time many, many years in the future when that individual learns lessons, life lessons, business lessons. He's going to remember who really wished him luck.
Hmm.
And then he's going to see the differences. And by then he's mature and he's going to say, you know what, Anthony, I remember back in the day, I should have stuck it out with you.
Yeah, I believe a lot of them are gonna think like that.
It's not going to happen now.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen now.
Yeah.
It'll happen much later, but you'll see.
For
Shoot
sure.
away.
Yeah.
Ask away, my friend. Yeah.
So how important is building relationships and networks?
Oh, dude, it's everything, man. Building relationships is everything, and establishing networks is huge. So it's building relationship when you're young. It takes time. So
Hmm.
and it takes time only because of your age and your exposure to individuals, your exposure to events, but that comes with time. So what happens in the business world is you start dealing with many different people. You start building a network without realizing it, and you start
Yeah.
clicking with individuals that they might be within your business, in your industry, but it takes time to build it. Now, I will say this though, don't waste time early on. Like you're 22, you're going to
Hmm.
be 23 soon. Don't waste time with people that they're always talking the game. They're like, dude, let's do something, man. Let's do something. Let's put something together. Let's launch a company. I mean, everybody, a lot of people, and I get it. You're young, you know what I'm saying? But just focus. If you got your entrepreneurship hat on, man, focus on the bigger picture. Focus
Hmm.
on what you truly want that organization to become, because that's what you're working for,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's people out there like, that again, going back to selfish and unselfishness, there's people out there that they say it, but they don't do it,
Hmm.
and then there's people that don't want you to do good, so don't waste your time with those individuals, especially those, I call them the preachers. I'm
Yeah.
sure you've already met them. They preach, they know everything. They preach to you that you should be doing it like this. You should be investing like this. You should be, and then you get in your car or you walk away and you're thinking, wait a second, what have they ever done? You realize they haven't done nothing.
Yeah.
So you're like, listen, that's why I say focus and surround yourself with people like yourself. Because as you get older, those relationships, like you're in your 20s, dude, when you're in your 40s and these people are executive, it's like you're going to text them, right? They're
Hmm.
going to be in a board meeting and they're probably going to text you back like, dude, that's
Yeah.
relationships. Now, networks, keep building it.
Hmm.
Thank God for you guys. And, with LinkedIn today, it enables you obviously to, in a certain digital way, network within organizations, within, it's good. It's good. It's a good way
Yeah.
to kind of get to individuals. Who's the executive level people within organizations, but sometimes LinkedIn has become almost like another platform for social chatting and stuff. So
Yeah.
you have to kind of, like any social media platform.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the thing I do appreciate about LinkedIn is like beforehand you could never see, like you said, the executive positions unless you look on their website, but now you can actually
Oh yeah.
possibly connect with these people like
Oh yeah,
specific
for sure.
positions. So for
And-
example, recently a lot of people that were connected with me was like the product line manager for like Nike and Under Armour. I'm like, oh cool, that's
awesome.
interesting. Like stuff like that. Like I never even thought about connecting with somebody in that position, but
Yeah.
that
Listen, I'll give you
possibility
this
down the
advice
road.
right now.
Hmm.
Never be afraid to reach out to anybody.
Oh
Listen,
yeah.
at the end of the day, you got to look at it like this. And this is one of the things I always did is I looked at individuals. And again, I got this from my parents, right?
Hmm.
The core that they set in me. I look at everybody as just another human being.
Hmm.
We're all on this planet trying to do the best that we can. Some are not trying to do the best that they can. But the thing is, don't ever be afraid to reach out just to another human being. Forget the titles. Titles to me
Yeah.
don't mean squat. And I'll tell you, a lot of the people up at the top, a lot of them, not all, but a lot, they love the younger hustlers,
Hmm.
the true entrepreneurs that respect their time. You know what I mean? You're not going to just, call the chat. Hey, maybe you
Yeah.
give me an idea of what I should do. No, that's dude. When you reach out to these executives, you better be like, hey, listen, it's a pleasure. I'm reaching out to you. This is kind of what I'm doing right now. I would love just to kind of bounce ideas off you from time to time. I respect your time. People want to hear that. Some people listen. It's all about mentoring. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. So don't ever feel like, like some people, that's what they don't do. They don't reach out, man. They don't reach out. Contacts today are at your fingertips, man.
Yeah. The easiest was ever been is right now is just to
Yep.
send a direct message to somebody.
Yep.
That
Yeah, no doubt, man.
yeah. So to move forward,
Right.
to what do you attribute your successes?
Well, you know me now, Ant, 4 months, and I'm a big family guy, right?
Hmm.
So the culture in this company first is family, then business. But I attribute, listen, even if I've made some amazing decisions over my career, I always and always will attribute everything to my parents. The core that they instilled inside of me. After my parents, my sister. My sister
Hmm.
has always, always believed in me, man. My without my sisters, I'm incomplete. She
Yeah.
has believed in me since I was a little boy. And then I have to say, my wife, my gorgeous wife, who has been in my corner. And you got to remember, like, I met my wife at your age,
Hmm.
and she married me, and she knew what she was getting into with my crazy brains of entrepreneurships and
Yeah.
constantly hustling to make a dollar and launching new ideas. And not once, not once has my wife complained. She has been
Wow.
always my she has backed me, supported me, encouraged me. She's been there through the ups and the downs. And then finally, my children, man. My children they just give me the purpose for what I do each and every single day.
Hmm.
So, Ant, you're young,
Yeah.
you're gonna meet a girl, you're gonna get married someday, and I hope you do, and you have children. Things change with every part of your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I've
know,
actually been with my significant other now for 7 years, so I definitely,
oh man,
yeah,
awesome.
it's been so I can kind of relate, but it's not
Yeah,
there
man.
yet.
No, no,
But
for sure. Listen, you want
it's
somebody that I'm not gonna say my wife hasn't panicked. God knows
yeah.
that poor woman, she's got a strong heart, man, because she's been she's she's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
she sees me some days and she's just like, oh man. And I'm like, listen, don't worry about it. We got
Yeah.
this. But
Yeah.
so that I'll always attribute my success to the core, my family.
Hmm. Yeah, that's always important. Family
No
comes
doubt, man.
for everything. So,
I agree.
and right before I ask you just a little piece of advice, I want to ask one more question because I struggle with this myself. How do
Sure.
you learn when to say no?
Oh man, I'm laughing, Anthony, because I'm Ecuadorian, right? And
Hmm.
the hardest thing for in our culture is to say no. And I'm laughing because this has come up. This has come up
Hmm.
with my other friends, entrepreneurs, they're also Ecuadorian, and they're like, listen, one of the problems is that we don't say no. And we wind up sometimes just out of our hearts, we say, yeah, 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 but you're like, oh my God, this is not that easy. It's gonna take. So two things of advice there is you know, if you're able to, if the individual is able to respect your time and you respect their time, I think there comes a point in professionalism where, listen, this is just overwhelming and I can't take this on. It's just, it's not going to benefit you at all. Now,
Hmm.
I'm all about helping. I am. So I tend to say yes a lot, but I have learned flat out sometimes that it's not maybe, I don't give them a harsh no. I just tell them it's just not something that I have the absolute time to devote to.
Yeah.
You know, it's a nicer way of kind of saying no. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You gotta like. I always take it on a professional manner. You know, but if people really don't respect your time and they expect you to say yes, listen, don't be afraid to just to give them a flat out, dude,
Yeah.
no, can't
No,
do.
I can't do it.
Yeah, but it's I hear you, Anthony, but you
Mhm.
gotta again, I'm gonna go back, and it's an episode that people should listen to. It's respecting time because that's one thing that you're gonna learn as you evolve in your career. You're 22 going on 23.
Mhm.
10 years, my friend, are gonna go like that.
Oh yeah.
In
Scary
10
thing.
years, I want you back on this podcast. You're gonna have a couple bambinos running around your legs, a house, doggy, and trust me, that's you gotta respect time. Things happen
Mhm.
quicker than you think they will,
Yeah.
so don't waste it. So that
Yeah.
so to get back to that question, it's so important to be able to say no in a professional way if you can, because you just want to maximize your time in your life at that moment in that era of, your evolution of your career.
Mhm. I like
All right,
that.
what do we got? What do we got, Ant? Shoot
Um,
away.
yeah, so I mean, I just want to. This is the last question I have really for you. Is just if you have one piece of advice to someone just starting out, what would it be? Like that major one headline piece of advice.
Oof, just one, huh? Okay. All right, for all the young entrepreneurs out there, my advice, Hugo's advice to you is really, if you're thinking about getting into the business, first do your homework, and definitely, definitely surround yourself with good mentors. If you do your homework and you're surrounded with good mentors,
Hmm.
you can bounce ideas as you're building them off of them. You're not going to waste their time because you're coming with something solid.
Yeah.
The other little piece of tidbit advice, I'm just going to throw a couple other layers on this,
Hmm.
is when you're getting into the business world, my advice is to always make sure to separate the emotions from the business. And I'm
That's
going to explain that really quick.
that's not the tidbit. That's the one that I
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, and it goes with everything else, right?
Mhm.
And the reason is, Ant, we're passionate entrepreneurs. If there's one thing you'll learn is that everybody that's in business is passionate about what they're doing, right? So
Yeah.
they get excited, man. I mean, I'm going to open up a bakery. I don't know, but the
Hmm.
thing is this: have you done your research? Have you bounced off these ideas with other mentors that might understand that bakery business? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And then the thing is, you got to be able to think it as a business, not with your heart. When you're passionate, you have it all mixed up sometimes. It's all in one bucket. You got to separate it. And the reason you got to separate is because sometimes you got to make harsh decisions, man.
Hmm.
Sometimes, when your heart's set on that, you're a great baker, it might not make business sense and you're going to have to part with it.
Yeah.
And when your emotions are intertwined with the business, you don't want to sink with the ship. You
Hmm.
got to be smart enough to be able to, move out or tweak it. You
Yeah.
know, I always say, plan, do, check, plan. It's important that in the career you're constantly tweaking. You want to keep growing that concept that you had, and be able to modify it. Look, last year, 2020, pandemic,
Hmm.
COVID-19. I always talk about it, right? Rethink, review it, rethink it, and reinvent it.
Yep.
You had to be able to pivot. And that's the same thing. So again, it's so important. Like I said, do your homework, surround yourself with mentors, separate the emotion from the business piece, and be able to tweak that concept constantly.
Yeah.
All right?
I
That,
agree.
that is my advice.
That's a great piece of advice. I agree with that 100%.
Very cool. Listen, you know
Yeah.
what? I know we've been on this podcast for a little bit now. As we start wrapping, I don't know. You have any other questions for me? First off, sorry
Um,
about
no, you're good. Nah, that you answered every question I really had. And those are some of the major questions I thought about
that. That is
that I
solid
really wanted to get
questions,
asked,
man.
and
Yeah,
you answered all of them
solid
thoroughly.
questions.
So,
Yeah. So, Anthony, let me ask you this. I'm going to turn the roles around now to you. If, as a young 22-year-old entrepreneur, what advice would you give to some of the hustlers out there your age?
so I kind of have like three small pieces like you as well. So, the first one is patience. It took me some time to learn this, but You have to be extremely patient. Don't think something's going to happen tomorrow or
That's
even
right.
next week. As long as you continue putting in little pieces every day, eventually it'll come together, no matter what. So it's
No
patience
doubt.
is very important. Next is you never fail, you only learn. A couple other people on former podcasts
Huge.
that you had said this, but even if you take that big risk and it doesn't necessarily work out, it's still a lesson to be learned out of it. It's not a failure. It's okay. Now you check that off. You did that, so now you know maybe that won't work. Let's do it this way instead of being confused on two pieces that you never know will work or not because you never took that risk. Um,
Dead
the
on.
last one piece of advice relates to my brand Unparalleled, and that's you being your only competition. When you realize that like you talked about earlier in the podcast, that everybody's a human being, everybody's a person, everybody has different stories. So why are you trying to compete with them when you have your own path? That you just got to realize you're your only competition at the end of the day.
Yeah,
So,
sometimes I often say that. That's freaking solid advice, my friend.
yeah,
Yeah, I always say sometimes we're our worst enemies, man. You know,
exactly.
we set up our own obstacles. But Anthony, thank you, man. That was huge advice. And listen, to all our listeners at T20E World, I'm going to open this up for any young entrepreneur out there that kind of wants to huddle with me. We select one individual every month or every 2 months, I believe, and we put them on our program. And you can ask away anything that you want to ask me. I will try to answer it to the best of my ability. So send us an email. Go to our website and send us an email, t20eworld.com. And for today, we are wrapping up. Anthony Whitaker, thank you so much for being our guest today. I hope I answered these questions.
You
I hope it was
did. Thank
valuable
you.
for you. And thanks again for being on our podcast here, T20E World. And to all our listeners, this is Anthony Whitaker and Hugo, and we are checking out.